I'm Justin Marlowe. I'm from McGill University. I'm here to present on behalf of my co-authors Tiana Peller, Frederic Shaw, and Andrew Gonzalez, Converting Currencies, Energy, Material, and Information Fluxes. So, in terms of ecological theories, we usually talk about fluxes of energy, um, which is a primary resource for all living things. So we have a resource species, and we look at the flux of energy through its trophic interactions into the consumer, and then the fluxes of energy from the consumer to higher order consumers, especially when we're looking at an ecosystem context. But we know that this is only part of the picture. So environmental conditions such as pH, temperature, etc., have big impacts on these fluxes of resources and the stocks of resources. And so these lead to, say, non-resource effects, and these can be very important. One of the ways that we integrate this in ecosystems is that we look at non-trophic effects, such as ecosystem engineering, where an interaction or an organism ends up changing the environment. So it releases acid into the environment, and that affects the consumer. And so this is very good if we are interested in the biotic effects on the environment. But the environment is also ecosystem process. It's also ecosystem stock, especially if it's something like acidity or dimethyl sulfide, and it might have its own impacts. As well, it's only looking at it in a very narrow sense. So when we're looking at ecosystem conditions or processes that are actually stocks themselves, we can better integrate them because we know that depending on the concentrations of them, they might act as a material, they might act as energy, and they might act as information. And so depending on the circumstances and the context, these environmental conditions are actually ecosystem stocks. And that's the best way we can utilize our information about the ecosystem in order to predict the behavior. And when we go in and model this and we say we had a resource consumer system, we had oscillating cycles, and then we model it with non-trophic effects, we end up with a stabilization of the system. Then when we looked at if the material was material or information, depending on the threshold, we end up with a completely different result. So thank you for listening. Thank you to my funders, to my labs. And if you're interested, continue to read on. Tree, the paper is available as of now.